Joseph Sewell, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself later. But now what I wanted to do is say welcome to Savoy at Sugarville in Groningen! Now, it was many years ago that I first came to Sugarville before the break happened for 2 years, and I met a lovely young man by the name of Arslan. Okay, everything around. Backstage. And before I dive in terms of what I do and what we're about to do today, I want to just dive deep because a lot of history here and a lot of amazing stuff happening here. And so firstly, can everyone give it up for Arslan? That's right. What I wanted to do is, by the way, put your hands up if you are from Groningen. Okay, a lot of people. Excellent. So just to, they may know already, but it's nice to sometimes reinforce your visions and so forth. But what's the general ethos and what was the purpose of Sugarspin?
The purpose of Sugarspin, I have to say, Joseph, I feel a little bit insecure having to answer that question with two of the founders, not just one, but two of the founders being in this room.
I know.
But if you have to put me on the spot and ask me about the purpose of Sugarspin, it's to bring people together using the power, the spirit of this beautiful African American art form called the Lindy Hop. Which is what we do in Groningen.
Amen.
Come on, So, from my point of view, I've been doing this for obviously dancing since the 70s. I know I look 16. Yes, and Lindy Hop swing dancing for almost 30 years. And it's been incredible to be on a journey to be working with the likes of Norma, Frankie, and learning from them as well as working with them. And obviously now the work with the other generation of Savoy ballroom dancers. And coming to Sugarspin, I think one place in my heart from day one when I met a number of people who are in the audience right now. Raise your hands. We met for the first time, and we came here, and I realized there was what I call an amazing spirit here. Click on start.
Don't panic.
Don't worry,
all under control.
Amazing spirit here, and for me, coming back after the pandemic, I think we actually did an online Zoom with some of you. Put your hands up if you're on the online Zoom. We did a Zoom. We did a
Zoom
in the room. Okay. So we did a Zoom. And realised that there was still an energy there despite what was going on. And coming back here straight after the pandemic and realised that actually there was a sense of pride about what you were doing. There was a sense of wanting to zest for knowledge in terms of the culture and the history of the art form here, which blew my mind because again it's still a niche number of people that are niche number of communities that I experienced like this. And I've been to events where there've been like 500 or more people, and it's still a vestige of the people that have actually sat down for the history talk. And that's when I was interviewing 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝘁𝗺𝗿, if that makes sense. So to come here and remember for the first one give a history talk, and most people were there, it had a place in my heart straight away. So I think when last year we discussed, I realized quickly we needed to bring some of the last remaining key dancers from the Savoy ballroom, which are only 3 left. There are Sugar Sullivan, there is a gentleman called Sonny Allen, and of course, short you'll see Barbara Billups. So I think when you guys agreed that this could happen to have Barbara and Chester here, that straight away you guys were like right up there. And what I want to do is now put you on the spot is when you were discussing this with your team, what was the final outcome and decision to say, let's make it happen?
Human desire. Actually, a swing dancer's desire. I remember we had the talk at the time, and you told me, Aslan, I love the vibe at Sugar Spin, I love the vibe at Sugarville, and I'd love to bring Chester to Groningen, I'd love to bring Barbara to Groningen. What can we do? And I said, Joseph, we don't want to choose. We want both of them. How many times do we have the opportunity to have these legends in Groningen? And let me tell you, when we started, when 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗵𝗿, Sander and Sonne started this association 8 years ago, from nothing, well, not from nothing. We had a swing association in Groningen. I mean, that had a solid foundation. But this purely Lindy Hop based association, and seeing it grow from just a handful of people, and 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂 was there at the very, very beginning, seeing it grow to what we are now, and having these legends in Groningen is a dream I think I couldn't have really thought of back when I started.
So, come on, let's give it up for not just for Arslan, but all the founders of Sugar Spin! So, what I want to do is just show you a clip. And these are important clips because has anyone on YouTube got a YouTube app? Put your hands up if you've got a YouTube app. Okay. Now this is nice and convenient because back in the 90s, I didn't have the pleasure or luxury of going on YouTube literally once every 3 months. There was a gentleman called Andrew Winters. He was a techie guy, and he would literally put all the reels together and hire a little hall smaller than this, and literally have the reel-to-reel. And so literally, maybe 4 times a year, we had the opportunity to watch old clips and to see little history documents like the Spirit Moves, etc. But what I want to do, I want to play you what I feel is still the best piece of dancing, and this is 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗵𝗿. Most of you are aware that obviously it's only a small part of the history of 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗵𝗿. And which is sort of, it wasn't meant to be, Norman told me it wasn't actually meant to be in the movie, but these guys met them, they saw what they were doing and thought, this needs to be in it, and they cut it in. So this is 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗵𝗿. It's amazing of intentional things you do to make people laugh. Okay, take 2. Are you ready for 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗵𝗿? Okay, here we go. That is how the popping people. So, these were some of the original dances, apart from Twistmouth and George and B and these people that came before them. But these are the guys that travelled around. White's Lindy Hoppers, White was the bouncer at the Savoy Ballroom, and so he put together some of the best dancers in the Savoy Ballroom. And three of those dancers in there, 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗿𝗂𝗪, Frankie Manning, and Al Minns, they were around until much later. Al Minns, I think I told you a little bit about Al Minns last time I came, but just to give you a journey of where we are today. So Al Minns, he was performing in a competition in the 80s, and a female historian took Al Minns to meet Larry and Sandra Schultz and got them to start teaching classes in their studio. Larry and Sandra, they were ballroom dancers, but they wanted something different. And just fast forward, later on Al Minns passed away, and as Al Minns passed away, Al Minns came to teach in various places. They called for Frankie Manning. Frankie Manning was the choreographer, so things like the Big Apple, the California routine, which you just saw there, and this was Frankie's work. He was a choreographer. Backtrack a little bit, you had Al Minns also was very close to Leon James. They were really close. I spoke to Al Minns' daughter quite a lot, and they were very close. Anyone heard of the Alan Leon Shimsham? Okay, put your hands in the air. Okay, so yeah, that was their take on that, so they were very close. But anyway, Al passed away, and so you had Frankie Manning. And Frankie, by that time, the scene started to grow. You had New York, dancers in New York, dancers in the UK, dancers in Sweden, various places, started to grow their communities. And as a result, Frankie started to travel and teach in these places. Now you have to understand, Frankie was a choreographer, so a lot of the things that he was teaching was quite large. Big moves, and all the classic moves, like the chase in there that you saw at the start of the movie. He also then adapted the Shimsham. The Shimsham was a dance originally created by Leonard Reed and Willie Bryant. It was a tap routine originally called the Goofus. What was it called? Goofus. He called it Goofus and danced by Rufus. And it wasn't danced by Rufus, just right. He then adopted that for swing dancers to be able to dance. So Norma was around at the time, of course, but Norma didn't want to teach. She was very highly professional. Some of you have heard me talk about 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗍𝗪 before. She only wanted to work with professionals, so she continued working at universities, giving lectures and so forth. That's what she wanted to do. And so these guys were carrying the torch, primarily Norma and Frankie. Norma doing a lot of these sort of academic work, and Frankie traveling around and teaching at workshops and growing swing dance camps. During this time, of course, Norma was also thinking about writing books, a comedian, looking at acting, and all sorts of different things. We'll talk, I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot of things I want to talk about when Barbara and Chester are here. But these are the guys that pretty much carried the torch for a long while until at least Frankie passed away in 2009. Now, whilst Frankie and Norma and Alan, all these people were traveling in the 50s because they were super in demand on movies and various places. While they're out there doing their thing, away from the Savoy Ballroom, a new generation of young swing dancers are obviously emerged in there. And so you had the likes of young Sugar Sullivan, you had Barbara Billups, and these were the new kids on the block. And of course, then you had a young chap, by the name, not so young anymore, by the name of Sonny Allen. And we'll talk more about him when Barbara's here and what he's done. They were the new generation, but also not only were they the new generation, arguably they were the last generation of the dancers from the Savoy Ballroom. Yes, people? Yes. Okay, raise your hand and say, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's where we have So this is where Barbara and Sugar and Sonny Allen sit. And so just to give you an idea, we'll talk a little bit more about them when they are here, but just so you understand the sort of chronology in a bit more depth. And of course, we'll also talk a little bit more about Chester when he's here as well. But has anyone heard of Michael Jackson? Anyone heard of 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗿?
Yeah.
Anyone heard of the Nicholas brothers?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the next videos that we're going to play here, and in fact I'll play it later, is part of the Nicholas brothers, and they were, I don't want to give too much away what we're going to talk about, but Chester would have learned from many of the original dancers back in the 70s, and of course he was the choreographer for people like MC Hammer, Michael Jackson, etc. Again, I don't want to give too much away. We'll discuss a lot of that when they're here. So that's when they say. Now he's been very instrumental in, and I'll go into why when he's here. But he's been very instrumental in archiving information. So he's like my encyclopedia, if that makes sense, and very instrumental throughout the pandemic. And this is like known Chester for over 20 years, and he's been like my brother. Like my big brother, and yeah, if I ever needed to know something factually that I couldn't research, I'd just ask Chester, and it was very helpful in setting up Sugarpedia. I know some of you have been, put your hands if you've been on Sugarpedia. Yeah, so it's been extremely helpful in terms of if I needed just some solid fact finding. So these are, it's very important to know that many people have never actually met. Put your hands up if you've ever met 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗿. Put your hands up if you've ever met Frankie Manning. Okay, of course, and even less people would have met Al Mims and the others. And so this is like a very small percentage of people in the swing dance community has ever met anyone that danced in the Savoy ballroom. And there are literally 3 left. As I repeat again, Sonny Allen, and Barbara Billups and Sugar Sullivan, and so it's the situation is like it's now or never, and so I feel privileged to have this time with you all and feel excited for all of you to be here whilst Barbara's here. And something I will say also: put your hands up if you own a smartphone. Okay, put your hands up if you own an Apple. Okay, the door's that way. We have you on the Samsung. Come talk to me anytime. And what I'm going to suggest to you is spend the time talking to them. They're very amenable people. Spend time talking to them. Take selfies. Talk and listen. Actually, more listening. Because again, it's a unique opportunity. And you never know. And I spent so many years talking with and listening, having 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗿 at our home. And even now, I look back and think, I wish I'd even listened more. I wish I'd put the phone down and recorded some of our conversations where me and Charlotte were saying, okay, Norman, we need to go to bed now. Yeah. We wish we'd put matchsticks in our eyes and literally just sat and listened. So if there's nothing I wanted to take away, is make the most. What are we going to do?
Make the most.
Okay, so
I do want to say, before you continue, before all of you start taking out your phones and putting them on the sound recorder, this is being recorded by our photographer Ronn, so this will be in some way shared because we don't want this to just disappear.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't mean like record now. Don't record. I mean like, but take selfies if you're if you sit down somewhere and have a chat. But obviously ask politely and do that. Okay. So next clip I want to show is I want to.
Yeah, I think we have some special guests in the house.
Yes, Whitmore Barbara Billups in the building. Come on, people. Come on, people, let's hear it! Okay, people, one more time. Let's give it up for Barbara Billups and Whitmore. It's movie time, get your popcorn.
Let me dig this jive once more, boy.
Right on down to the gate.
Oh boy,
Got a big fine little gate.
now can't you hear those hep cats call? Come on, boys, let's have a ball. The jim jam jump it, the jumping jive makes you dig your jive on the mellow side. Hep hep, hip hip. The jim jam jump is a silent jive, makes you 9 foot tall when you're 4'5". Hep hep, hip hip. Don't you be that inkaroo, get hip, come on, and then you follow through. You get your study full, you make up the jaunty jump like the gators do. Jim jam jump is a jumping jive, makes you like your eggs on the Jersey side. Hip hip, hip hip. The jim jam jumping jive makes you hep hep on the Mahala side. Boodly 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 biddly bumpity goodly giddly bang 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 da da. Now I've told you about the jumping jive. Jim jam jump the jumping jive. You got to dig this mellow jive. Yes, yes, you dig it on the mellow side. A boodly 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 boy.
Boodly boodly boy.
Biddly biddly gay.
Boodly boy.
Boodly giddly bumpity gaga.
Yippee gotta be
A
back.
boodly time boy. Coin to gaga and the bomb bomb was eating at the pot.
That is the Nicholas Brothers people. So, I'm going to start with Chester on this occasion. And Chester, let's talk about one of my favorite stories is always how we got started in the dance world.
Oh my God. I am a researcher. I'm a filmmaker. That's how I got started in the world of dance. And being a filmmaker, you have to learn how to do documentaries. So we do a world of dance out of it. So it was the Philadelphia Dance Company, and I had to research that. That got me into it. And they ever asked me, did I ever dance? At the time, I love dancing. I watched it, but I never danced. But that got me into dancing. And I was doing some researches on Afro-American dancing. And in them days, there was not many books. And there was a place, art center, Cultural Arts Center dance. And there's this guy, you want to learn how to tap dance real good. I said, I know I was taking classes with nothing like that, there. Everything. And they had a little that type of thing. I said, not quite what I was looking for, but I took it. And my friend said, go to that art center. There's this guy there, he will teach you. So I rode my little bicycle, went to the place, and it was locked. Okay, I was mad. So I'm riding on the way back, there was this gentleman on the highway, and had a flat tire. Nobody was helping him. He was trying, cars would go by. And I said, need some help? Yeah, come on. And he was moving the tire, and he looked up my handlebars, and he saw my pair of tap shoes. He said, oh, look at this. Yeah, you're a hooker. I said, what? A hooker. I thought he was calling me a hooker. I said, yeah. He said, no. He's a dancer. I tap dance. I said, sure. I just thought this guy was joking. He's talking all this stuff. I said, yeah, sure. He said, he gave me his card. He said, you want to learn? Give me a card. I'll give you a call. And so, during the weeks and months was going by real quick, I was trying to learn. My mother said, you should take that gentleman's offer up. You're getting frustrated. You're not learning anything. I said, okay. So I went over to his house. He said, hey, you made it. Come on in. Ready for your first lesson? I said, oh yeah, show me something. He pulled the rug off from the floor, a nice beautiful wooden floor out there. And he said, show me what you got. At that time, I thought I was really hot. I thought I'd stand back. Let me show you how to do this. I said, he said, try this. And he got out there. I looked at him, he looked at me. He looked at the floor, I looked at the floor. Then I looked at him, he looked at me. Then I said, mine doesn't look like yours. So, as he said, you want to learn, I'll teach you. We became great friends. Come to find out, that was the gentleman that was supposed to be at the art center teaching, but he couldn't make it because of the flat tire. And I would work with this gentleman. I was living here for about 2 years and a half. There were a lot of people who would come in and out, all his friends, and they were great dancers. I was like, I got a lot to work on, I have to get in here. And late one night, on television, this is the late 60s or early 70s, and these two guys, and this movie came on. That what you just saw. And I'm looking, who are these guys? And who are they at Chorus Line? The movie's fantastic. The whole movie has nothing but incredible, great entertainers. Bill Robinson and Fats Waller and Cab Calloway. And these two guys that you just saw, wow, where? Who are these? Doing all kinds of, I call it ninja tap or whatever kind of. And I told my friends about it. They said, you imagine that. no, you didn't see that. I said, no, I did see it. I saw these people. You know, oh, no, you imagine it. So I was going around upset because did I dream this or not? And then my teacher said, you seem upset. I'll tell you what, let me show you something. And we pulled out these 8x10s that we photographed. And I looked at it and I said, is this the people that you saw? And I looked at it. Oh yeah, this is that. Oh, that's you. That's the guy that was with for over 2 years and a half. And he taught me, he literally tell me he was a famous, because we just hung out, right around, go to the movies, or like acting it up. But I was learning a lot of stuff, but not knowing him and his brother was out dancing all over the world. And he was the first one to give me my first job. Got me teaching, started teaching and meeting other great instructors in the world of dance that I put to my repertoire of the world of dance, jazz, Lindy Hop. The name goes on. I mean, incredible dancers, you know. So from chorus line dancing to chorus board dancing to jazz, Lindy Hop, I met them all and hung out with them. And we created a club at the time called the Hoopers Club.
Just a bit more. Barbara, I'd like to, again, some of the many stories I'd like to hear you talk about is your first, I think we probably talk a little bit more in depth about the Savoy Ballroom on Sunday, but I'd like to talk about your journey into dance. Would you like to share that with everyone?
Okay, all right. I think I know what you're talking about. Well, what happened? I was born in Georgia, and once I got out of high school, my grandmother raised me, and my mother lived in New York. So my grandmother said that you don't want to go to college, then you're going to have to go to your mother's. Well, that was all right with me, but then I asked her, what about Shirley, which is my baby sister? She wasn't my baby sister, but during that time, she was my baby sister. So then she said, I said, well, she's going to come out the next year. She said, okay, you can do this, but you're going to have to get a job, and you're going to help around the house, which is no problem to me, because I was doing that anyway. So Shirley Farms came out of high school, and Shirley and I both came to New York to live with my mother. My mother knew that I liked dancing, but as far as I was concerned, I was just dancing. Everything they had in school, and some of you know how you have those dances on a maybe Saturday or Friday night in school, and you dance. I was always there. I was always getting scolded because I never got home until late. And that was something you didn't do. You got home at a certain time. But I did that, and the problem about it, my mother said, I'm going to send you to the Savoy with your cousin. And I said, what is the Savoy? She said, it's a Savoy ballroom where everybody dances. I said, okay. So she finally asked my cousin to take me to the Savoy. So when I went to the Savoy, I had been going to the Savoy, I think, about 2 or 3 years. And I was dancing, but I wasn't dancing the way they was dancing. And I noticed that you really got to know a little bit of something for some of the fellas to dance with you. So if anybody ever heard anything about the Savoy, you know, that's probably the biggest place that you can really find for people to dance. And they usually have a circle. And everybody would go in the circle, this one couple would go in the circle, then somebody else would go in the circle, and the music continued playing. And I would always be on the outside trying to do what they was doing, which I wasn't for sure, but I had a feeling I knew something concerning what they was doing. And then one night, this fella came and he grabbed me. And he was pulling me, and I said, ah. He said, come on. I said, ah. He said, your name, Barbara, come on in. You come on in. I said, I can't do that. He said, yes, you can. So he got me into that circle. And but I was scared, but you know what? I realized one thing, you can be scared from the beginning, but once you have a feeling you know what you're doing, you're not scared no more. So they had me, and I knew I must have been doing something, because every time I turned around, I looked up, had my eyes kind of closed, trying to see what, because people laugh at you sometimes or whatever, you know. And every time I opened my eyes, there was a different fellow. So I'm saying to myself, where he come from? When my feet were busy going, I didn't stop. And then, finally, I said, boy, I'm coming back. I'm coming back tomorrow night, because this was great. And I went back, and that night when I went back, I opened the door. There was a girl standing there waiting on me. She said, Miss Barbara, I didn't think that, I really thought they knew my name, but not enough, you know what I mean? So then she said, Miss Barbara, I said, yes. She said, you know, the fellow you danced with last night? I said, no. I knew his name was George, but I said, maybe I'm wrong. So I said, no. She said, that's my husband. I said, oh. I just knew I was in trouble. She said, come here. Let me show you what the steps that he was trying to get you to learn. And that night, and every night from then on, it was she and I. Until now, we are just like that. And her husband's name was Joseph Sewell. He was a great dancer, but at first he didn't care all of that jitterbug job. He liked smooth dance, sliding across like he do a lot. He liked something like that. But he did win a high school ball with his wife. But I was so happy that night. You couldn't keep me out of Savoy. Every day I went to work, I left there and I went to Savoy. And I had to dance with everybody. Everybody. When they see you dancing one time and you doing good, everybody wants to dance. So that was okay with me. I was doing my thing, I didn't care.
So you were dancing, I think you were at the, if I remember from previous conversation, you were dancing at school?
Oh yes,
Athens?
Yes, like I said, whenever they have a dance, I was always dancing. If maybe a class was having something, and I always like to help people out. And if a class was having something, and they were showing some kind of show or something like that, I might not have been in that show. But before it was over, I was in that show. I was doing what they was doing, and I wasn't even supposed to do that. So most of the time, they just move out the way and let me have the flow. So I love that. I have been of them do things.
So Loretta, I think she was your cousin, Loretta?
Yes, she was my cousin.
She took you to the Savoy Ballroom. You met George. Again, we're going to dive deep into the Savoy Ballroom on Sunday. So I'll save some of that for then. There are who are the other, if you met George, but also the female dancer that you were talking about, that was Sugar Sullivan.
Yes, Mama Thacker, little bits. Lovey Thomas. There was, like I said, Joseph Sewell, Limos, Ronnie Hayes, Big Nick, Little Nick. I'm surprised those names came to me like that.
Willie Posey? Yeah, and you also mentioned you used to like dancing with Willie, was it Willie Posey?
Well, Willie Posey, you said we gonna do this Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell it all.
So don't just read off a few names. Okay, a couple of things that I do want to talk about is, again, we're going to dive deep into the Savoy on Sunday. But one of the other stories that I do like is you also met a dancer called Sonny Allen.
That's Sunday.
There is Sunday. I'm coming to it.
Son Allen was a hell of a dancer. He could do tap or mambo or whatever. But once he won the House Moon Ball in 1958, he decided to get a group together. And a group together, he wanted 5 girls and his own band, which he did. He got the girls together. And we traveled across Canada, in the U.S. We just went anywhere that he could get us a gig. And we didn't have to go out there and get that gig, you know. He did it on his own. And he took us all over the place, mostly in New York. But we lived up in Canada. For some reason, they liked us in Canada.
And so, so you, if I remember correctly, you met Sonny about 1955, and then at some point you entered the competition. Who did you enter? You entered the Harvest Moon Ball competition?
Let me tell you what happened with that. They was having it come in 1958. In fact, they had it every year. But I would help them out doing things and so forth, but I would never enter to the competition because I didn't think I was good enough to enter. But every year they was having the Harvest Moon Ball. And this particular year, 1958, Sonny decided to enter with his partner Marcella, Joyce Davis, and Bertie Davis. They were sisters and brothers. And this same George Sullivan came to me and said, Barbara, you're going to have to dance in the Harvest Moon Ball. I said, I don't do that. I don't dance like that. I never practiced. They don't want to have the preliminary and everything. But what happened to William Posey, I really never got the right thing about what happened to him, to his partner. He was ready for his partner. They went down and they was qualified to go on. He said, Barbara, Willie wants to dance. And he said, nobody will dance with him. He said, and I know you would dance with anybody, so dance with Willie. I said, I'll try. But then they had like 2 weeks. And you know, doing error steps and stuff like that, it take longer than 2 weeks to do things like that. But he kept on after me. And they were rehearsing with me night and day. Sometime I left my job early. I told him I didn't feel good, or I had to go check on my mama for something. You know I was lying, don't you? I wanted to go and help Willie Posey out if I could. So they did. They really drilled me for 2 weeks. And that night, when it come down to, I was so scared. I mean, I was real scared because I had, number one, I had never been to the Palladium, I said to Mount Square Garden when they had those dances. But I went that night, and they had all kind of dances. Not only Lindy, they had everything. Mambo, they had Viennese waltz, that's what I'm not right, whatever. They were having that and 2 or 3 other things that they was having. So they called 6 couples. Now, I'm sorry, 4 couples, then it was 4 more couples, then there was 3 couples, then it's calling how many that you may have said come from your area, you know, from your area. Maybe you may brought 6 people, or maybe you may brought 8 people or whatever, you know. So when it came down to us, and I said, I got to do this, so Sugar said yes. So I said, okay, I'll try. I said, don't say nothing if I mess up. So then, the music. And I don't know what happened, but the music stopped, and all of a sudden, they put that tempo up. I said, oh my God. When they put that tempo up, and they called Sonny, Marcella, and me, I said, I'm not for sure. Although I've been doing it in the support, but it's different when you're doing around a lot of people. And you know, for my surprise that night, I won 3rd place my first try.
Come on, people!
when they called my name for third place, I'm still sitting down there doing my fingernails like this. You know, I said, it's busy. Well, I jumped up on that stage then. All of the scaredness that I had, it went away. All of it had went away. I wasn't scared anymore. But Willie was the most happy person you have ever seen. Because Willie could dance. But I know he probably not. Willie wasn't dressing like a lot of the other fellas were. You know, but that particular night he had on blue, I think he had on blue pants and blue shirt. And I had nobody to fix me a uniform. So a friend of my mother's and so forth took me downtown, bought me a little short blue pleated skirt and a white blouse with it. So I was sharp then. You nobody tell me nothing. So when they called my name third place, I went for it. But I never went back. Most people go back and try to win second and first until they keep going. But I didn't do that because once you win the first place at the Harvest Moon Ball, you consider professional. And you had to sign something saying that. Because they say you, and which they're right, you would do shows for people, you'd be an Apollo and all of that. So I never got a chance because I turned professional that night. I started doing shows and stuff that's how I met Son Allen shows and stuff with, his name is McDonald but he likes Son Allen. So I started doing, and I traveled a lot of places with Son Allen. So that's how I never became first place. Because I started dancing professional before time. But I enjoyed it.
People, let's give it a Barbara Billups. So, what we're going to do, we're going to take a very short break. Very, very short break, no more than a couple of hours. And a very short break, and we're going to come back and we're going to dig deep into into the lives of Barbara Billups a little bit more, and Chester Whitmore. Who's here on Sunday? You have to be here on Sunday. Whatever plans you had, cancel it. Okay? Sunday I think we're going to reserve a lot of nuggets. Most of you have seen me here at Sugarville in the past. I would like to talk about things that you can't read in the book. And that is going to be on Sunday. We're going to really go deep into some stuff. But for now, a short break. And before we do, can we all have a huge round of applause to Chester Whitmore and Barbara Billups? So, back in the 70s, I was a jazz funk dancer, I was a rapper also, and so I was really into jazz funk, doing, at the time, a key part of the jazz funk is a lot of twisted feet, so I thought it was cool, we didn't realize we were doing the Charleston. And in the 80s, we were part of the new generation of a new dance which came from the jazz funk community called breakdance. You want to know breakdance or street dancing? Okay, yeah. Wearing out all my trousers on the school playground. And so, of course, in the 80s, by 1982, I remember watching the TV, and MTV I don't know if anyone's old enough here to remember MTV. Okay. There's a few more people over 21.
Before my time.
And so when I was glued, I think it was 1982. Two things happened in 1982, which I didn't realize how significant it was then. The first thing was 1982. I'd always watched Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5s, okay, and I had the afro and everything, and so my dad cut it off and, you know, I cried, but anyway. I know, okay. Anyway, back to the story. So, glued to the TV, MTV was big then, it just come on. And we only had 4 channels, so then when these came together, it was huge. And we saw Michael Jackson do the moonwalk across the floor. It was like, whoa! Now everybody at school, the next day was like, did you see that? And we were all trying to do the moonwalk and everything at school. It was like amazing. It was the biggest thing. So Jackson's the key thing. It was Jackson, 5 Star, and all these people. MC Hammer with the big baggy trousers, and also the Friday night at 7 o'clock. Friday night at 7 o'clock was Soul Train. Everyone say Soul Train! Soul Train! Soul Train was a big thing also that would happen on a Friday night, and that was huge. The other thing that happened in 1982, and I'm going to refer to it later on, is at 10:30. 10:30. I can't remember what night it was now, but 10:30 back in the 80s. On the TV we had there was a show. I'm trying to remember the name of the show now. There was a show that used to come on 10:30. The name is at the tip of my tongue. Thank you very much, Charlie. You've heard the story a million times, so you remember. Okay, the Southland Show. What's it called? Okay, so, and on the Southland Show, there was a lady that came on, and she was talking about an amazing dance. And I'm going to come back to that when I introduce Barbara. But for now, back in the 80s, there was a number of dancers like the Jacksons and 5 Star. I want to watch this. Stars Cap Calloway. It's 2 hours long.
Cab Calloway.
Janet Jackson featuring the Nicholas Brothers and 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗃 people. So, these are the movies I used to watch, again with Michael Jackson and MC Hammer and 5 Star and all the major people that were around in the 80s. And even doing these dances, we didn't, of course, there were no classes, we didn't realise the history behind it. Didn't realise at the time, I thought it was cool that all these steps that we were doing actually came from years ago. We didn't invent them. And by the time I joined the swing dance community in the 90s, I then later on stumbled on a gentleman and realised that the choreographer for this was actually a swing dancer. And I need to let you know that that swing dancer, the choreographer for that movie with Janet Jackson, is actually in the room. Can we give it up for the choreographer, Mr. Chester Whitmore? Let's talk about the move. What was the inspiration for this choreography? Because obviously there's a lot of modern moves in there. I saw the voguing, which was, does anyone remember voguing? Yeah, the voguing in there, a lot of classic, what is now seen as street dance steps, but obviously classic jazz. What was your inspiration?
Well, it started off really, I was doing television shows, variety shows at that time, and award shows, and Janet came to one of my shows. At that time, I was doing a tribute to, we had Sammy Davis Jr. Well, I had Savion Glover, Sammy Davis Jr., and Janet saw the Nicholas Brothers did the tribute. There's that's another video I gotta get to you, but we did a tribute to Sammy, and she saw the Nicholas Brothers. Oh, I want them. But I said, well, you knew them. You were little in 70, 76, but you were real little at the time. So she said, I want them. I'm doing a music video. I said, oh, okay, well, we hooked them up during our after show, and they were looking for some other legends. I said, well, 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗃 is still around, and the lady you saw come up in red, that was 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. So we got 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗃, all these musical legends. If you don't know who 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 is, look her up. How many of you seen the bandwagon with Fred Astaire? Okay, look at it. Fantastic, she kills it. So we got her, everybody, it was going to take place in these couple of dances. We had an idea of a couple of dances that are top in a time bubble. If you really notice, if you notice at the beginning, they lived the time of the zoot suits. They lived on a street bench at the beginning, and at the end, if you notice, when the real 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗃 comes, it's up to date. The cars are in the 80s. You know, so that's why see, I lost her watch, but I really met 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗃, and she slaked, and he came back out of the time bubble and gave her the watch back. I said, okay, well, let's do a throwback thing, and there's another version of that, because the person that helped with the music was, how many heard of Heavy D? Okay, he's a rapper. Heavy D, he's in it. There's a lot of great people in this. And so a lot of the choreography, the ending choreography, I helped put together the roller skating, the swiping when the policeman is throwing them in the voguing guys. I wanted a mixture of showing how the time is moving, even though they're dancing through the whole element. There's a lot of little storylines inside of the video. You have to look at it real carefully. But the uncut version, a lot of the uncut version, you can look at it on video. But that's how she caught me, and I pulled the legends in, and we mixed the music and got together. There's 3 other choreographers. That's how.
So it's interesting. I mean, we have so many conversations, but it's interesting that, again, for me, while you were doing that, it was interesting for me to not know that where everything come from at the time. Obviously, we were just dancing around, doing our thing in the 70s and 80s, thinking we were doing something new. And the other thing we used to watch was a Soul Train. And if I remember correctly, has anyone here heard of Soul Train? Yeah. So you were also on Soul Train.
Yep, I was on Soul Train. I did some episodes on Soul Train, and I got kicked out. During that period of time, I was, again, researching vernacular jazz dances. And I was doing the different status of dance, and I think, yeah, this is real dance. I like all this. And all of a sudden, a friend of mine, this group of people saw me dancing. I was tapping, and they said, hey, you're good. You want to join us? I said, join me? What you talking about? This is a street gang or something? No, get with us. You got to join him. You got fast feet and everything. I need you to join. I said, do you know how to hustle? I said, no. He said, I'm going to teach you. His name was Oscar Scott. Soul Train just came out. Soul Train came out in 1972. Don King brought it. And Oscar was there. And I mean, if you remember the dance, do the hustle. And there's a hustle when you do it in the party. You know, the twirl, like a social dance. And he said, you got to learn the hustle. You'll be great on the show. I said, what show? Come on, Chester, you got to learn it. And Oscar was very flamboyant. I mean, loud colors, beautiful, suits. And so he taught me how to hustle. I said, okay. He said, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, okay. Trying to learn this. And then he said, now, you got to have a makeover. I said, makeover? He grabbed me, he went to a clothing, I had to change my clothes. And we had platforms to choose about that. Big old platform, medallions and stuff. And I had, like I said, I had a big fro. And I had to go in. I said, so he gave me a dance partner. Her name was Pat. Pat was very good. She was, and we got on, and I said, okay, there was about 8 of us. And we go to the studio in Hollywood. And there's some big guys in security. There's hundreds of people trying to get in to record. And they picked only who they want. They knew Oscar. Oh, Oscar, how you doing? Come on in. And Oscar, he knew everybody. He said, who's this guy? He's with me. Okay, go on in. Everybody's checking me out. And I'm looking at the set, the TV cameras, and they're all right, we're going to tape in a few. Well, we always taped 2 shows a day. And once 1 week, the 3rd week out of a month, we tape out 4 shows for the whole month. And we get up there, and he said, I said, why do these platforms and stuff? I said, oh, only the real good dancers get up there on the platforms. I said, oh, and you get the more camera time. And so, okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, and the music can come on. Slow train. And I'm dancing, la 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 la. And we'll be back after this commercial. Boom, cut to commercial. Okay, cut. You, come here. So, what I do? Come here. Get on this rice. And you get on this rice. And Oscar said, you got on the riser. Your first time. I said, what does that mean? You get more camera play. And we're coming back from commercial, and music got do that. So I had to. So this went on for a week. Man, nobody gets on the platform. I said, okay. And then the next week, I got on another platform, and it's higher. And, I won't feel like those little girls with a birdcage. I said, so we get doing all this stuff, but all of a sudden, I was glad I met a lot of stars. My first show was with Chaka Khan. Her name was Rufus at that time. And I did one with James Brown, did one with Chaka Khan, Tower of Power, First One. But the problem is, once you're on television, the neighborhood and the community sees you. I saw you on Soul Train. Oh, I saw you, and I saw you, and you were doing this. And then the next thing you got to achieve is to go down the Soul Train line. But it was getting expensive. He said, well, how come I can't wear this? No, you can't wear that. Each show you have to have a new uniform. They wasn't paying me for the uniform. Well, I paid it out of my own pocket. I said, you know, this is getting expensive. He said, now you're a professional dancer. I said, well, Oscar, I've been dancing right now, you know, I've been doing some shows, you know, the old time, the vernacular. And I said, but I'm paying for my own costumes. We're doing this show. I said, I'm gonna have to talk to Mr. 𝗕𝗿𝗃. Oh no, don't talk to Mr. 𝗕𝗿𝗃. I got to talk to him. Have you guys ever asked that question to yourself? None of them. All they were happy was, you're on TV every week, during the week, people see you, you're so trained dancer. You're so, and they have contributed through television and America, because if you wanted to know the latest dances, there were free shows. They were out there that you could turn on the TV and look, that's the latest dance. And everybody go home and you go out to a concert. So one day, I'm going to have the courage and I'm going to talk to Mr. 𝗕𝗿𝗃. He said, don't do it, Chester. I said, I got to do this. I got to save our integrity. So I walk down, Mr. 𝗕𝗿𝗃 is a real tall guy. I go, yes. Mr. 𝗕𝗿𝗃, I danced on many shows and danced on your show. How come I danced on Dick Clark's show and he paid me a check, and I danced on your show and you paid me a box of chicken? One box of chicken. And the next scene is cut. You got these two big guys, me by here, by an ankle, in the back, bang, into the trash can. Go. They looked at me and I got up and said, it's all right. I've been kicked out of better places than this. Walked away. And that started my career at Savoy.
Yeah.
The good thing is that motivated me to carry on in the world of dance more. And I had to tell that I said, I will meet him one day. And exactly 12 years later, that was working. I was still doing my thing, and I was dancing, and I became a producer, like one of the shows you saw. And he had to have his artists on my show. It was the Love Unlimited Orchestra, Barry White. And they came in and he was gonna hog all the rehearsal time from the other end. And he said, everybody gets 20 minutes. He took like 45, an hour. And I said, and I walked up to him, sir, you're gonna have to, this is enough, I think. And he flex his muscles. Don't you know who I am? I'm Don 𝗕𝗿𝗃𝗃. I said, yes, I know you very well, sir. Do you know who I am? I'm the producer of this show. Get out. You know, but he said, I've seen that guy before. I said, you know, right? And then later on, we met at different places. I said, yeah. I said, I want to thank you for kicking me off the show.
Just do it more, everybody! So, I'm going to play a little clip. Before they arrived, I mentioned a number of things that happened in the 80s. Again, in the 80s, the classic show that everybody watched was the LWT, the South Bank show. And on there was a dancer from America. And she was talking about this dance, which I now know is the Lindy Hop, okay? And that's in 1982, it came on the South Bank show, and that created a number of things here, certainly in Europe, in Sweden, and in the UK. Groups started up, small scenes started up. It was the number of people in here, that was arguably the UK scene. And for every row, that might be some countries. Certainly by the 90s, that was literally a country. Some countries was half a section, and if you had a class, you'd be getting people travel for an hour and a half to the neighbouring country for a class. Nowadays, if people have to travel more than 20 minutes, they're complaining. Okay. But that's what it was like. So This was at 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗁𝗍 Park, so we'll talk a little bit more about 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝗁𝗂 Park tomorrow when we talk about this Savoy Ballroom. And during this time, the New York dancers were also people like 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗁𝗍𝗁 and a number of people. They created, I mentioned that, and we had 𝗕𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗁𝗍 teaching at Sandra Cameron's studio, and then Frankie came out, and they brought they tried to source as many of the dancers from the Savoy Ballroom that they could find, and have them in a number of places. One of them was the City Lights. And this clip I'm going to show is of many of these dancers meeting for the very first time after not having seen each other since the Savoy. So before I bring in Barbara, I just want to show you this clip. You have people like Frankie Manning. You'll see Sonny Allen, who we're going to talk about it as well. You'll see Sugar Sullivan. You'll see Norma Miller. And a number of others we'll talk about as we go through. I think we call the names. And of course, amongst there, we also have our special guest, Barbara Billups. So, reunion at Sandra Cameron's studio. Okay, the quality isn't fantastic. Again, back in those days, everyone had big VHS cameras, and this has obviously been transformed to digital. It could be better, but here we go. Actually, let's stop that. So, Barbara, what was it like to have a reunion and see people that you hadn't seen for years?
Well, you really have to be in that position in order to really feel what we felt during that time. You know, it was a happy thing to do. We would, no matter what they said, or where they said to come, no matter what we are doing, we will leave whatever we have to do, or cancel whatever we had to do in order to be there. Because it was something that's to meet a friend that you haven't seen for quite a while. Now, some of them were still dancing. Was going out still doing dance, but you didn't see your buddies. The ones that were like me. I didn't see my buddies, the ones that started me out, you know. So going back there, it was something that, I know, it's just like it's eating you in here. You can't wait to get there. And once you leave, you felt like you really have been someplace. You really have did something. I don't know whether any of you ever felt that way. Even when you're meeting a friend you went to school with for a long time. Maybe you and that person did a lot of damage together. It brings back memories, you know? And it's really something. It is really something. And I hope 20 years from now, y'all will meet each other. And they'll say, oh, I met you such and such a place. You'd be surprised. You really?
One of the dancers in there we touched on briefly before was Sonny Allen. And he was one of the dancers that you danced with at the Savoy. Now I understand he formed a group with you and Sugar. Tell us what it was like being part of Sonny Allen and the Rockets.
Well, to be honest with you, Sonny Allen and the Rockets was dancing long before they really became famous. You know, we was doing a special in the mountains. Some of you know what the mountain was, where a lot of the big time people, they may have hotels and stuff like that. They would get us to dance in the hotels, and it was really something to do something like that. But to be honest with you, can I tell you about Sonny Allen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you about Sonny. He was a workhorse. I mean, Sonny, well, let me put it this way. Sonny was a drill sergeant in the service. So you know how that could be. He got us up early in the morning. If we made a mistake late at night, he was the kind of person that said, all right, you do that again, I'm gonna take some money. And you know he ain't gonna do it the second time. But we had one girl, a little bit. She wasn't a dancer. But I'm gonna cut to something else too, because every time I have to say this while I get on my mind, so I won't forget. She used to work at Small's Paradise. And we used to hang out. I guess some of you may know Small Paradise, I heard of it. But we used to go to Small Paradise when we wasn't working. Now some of us that did go-go, because I did go-go, most of us danced with Sonny had did go-go at Small's Paradise. So, but she was working at Small Paradise. And Sonny needed another girl. And we was all in there that night hanging out. We had to leave the next morning. That's where we met, so Sonny could tell us what we had to do and so forth. And he went to her, he said, look there. She said, what? He said, you wanna dance with us? She said, oh yeah. He said, you got to leave in the morning. She said, what? He said, I have to leave in the morning. Do you know she quit her job that night? And she went with us on the road, and she was there until she had a baby and different things. You know when people get so. But even up until she passed away, when she just passed away last year, we all were still friends. We all were still friends. And working with Sonny, he would take your money. And he would tell you how you like the suit you bought me, or how you like this you bought me. But he ain't gonna take for so much from us. And he would save it up and buy something. Now we know we didn't buy that darn thing because he didn't take that much money from us, you know. But most of them was married, they had kids, and they had to go home. So Sonny, what he would do, he would tell me like this: if you can't do that step, I'm gonna send you home. And if I send you home, you ain't coming back. Right now, you're gonna do that step. So don't ever say you can't do nothing, because you can. Just keep practicing at it, and you will finally get it right. So he did that for a while, and then he had us all there. We would practice from morning, sometimes to late at night. I even had to quit my job, because he would take my money if I wasn't there on a certain time. And I don't like giving son of my money. Me and Sugar didn't give him as much as the rest of the girls, because Sugar and I did know a little bit about dancing, but the rest of them didn't. But he was delinquent. During that time, $3 was a lot of money. $1.50 was a lot of money. And you know he ain't made that kind of money to buy no suit, but he kills that way. You know, so that was something that everybody talks about it now, because it was funny now, but it wasn't funny then when you you owe me $3. It wasn't funny then. But we lived with it. And like Sugar husband knew what was happening, Mommy's mother and everybody, they knew what was happening, but they was okay. Because Sonny had promised everybody's family, when he left New York, don't care where we went, he said, I'm bringing them back the way I'm taking them. So let them go with me. And they trusted him. And believe me, he did that. There come a time, I know 1 or 2 times, where somebody in the audience said, I'd like to take you to lunch. So, well, wait a minute, I have to see. And we all knew to go to Sonny. Go to Sonny and say, Sonny, such and such to me, I want to take us to lunch. He said, take me to lunch. He said, okay, he can take us to lunch. And he meant that way, take everybody to lunch, because you wasn't going by yourself. And 9 out of 10, they would. So we didn't have no problem like we have heard a lot of women have problem out on the road. We didn't have that problem. And we enjoyed it ourselves. There's only 2 of us left. No, there's 3 of us left, because Lovey's not working anymore. And Sugar and I, the only 2 left. But we still talk about what good time we had.
Tomorrow, as we're about to close, and on Sunday we're gonna go deep into the Savoy ballroom. But also I want to talk a little bit on Sonny Allen on Sunday, because we're coming to a close now, and there's so much to discuss with your work with him. But I just wanted to share something with everyone, because when I speak to you or Sonny or Sugar or Norma or Chester, you know, my journey in the late 90s, learning Lindy Hop, you know, the learning was from people who learned in a very strict manner. And I always remind Chester, sometimes Chester's falling asleep in our home, and I say, Chester, wake up, I need to do this. I remember when I was in his classes, and Chester would be like busting out some crazy jazz step unknown to human beings. And we'd be like, just like sitting down in the corner, again. And we'd all be sweating, tripping, looking at, thinking, okay, we got it, look at Chester, again. And, you know, people were strict back then. I remember if you asked a question, and there would be teachers that would say, okay, I think you need to go to the beginner's class. It was very strict. Now, of course, we're in a completely different environment where actually moves are broken down. You know, I remember having Sugar and Barbara when you were at the house. Is it my pajamas?
Yes.
My pajamas. And I've got Sugar grilling me to go through a step again in my pajamas. Those videos won't see the day of light. Grilling me in my pajamas. No, it goes, and Barbara's laughing at me. Charlotte's laughing at me. It's grilling, you know. This is, remember Charlotte having a personal session with Norma Miller. Again, she was grilling and cursing Charlotte. Charlotte wasn't used to this. She was like, whoa, what's going on here? This is what you're hearing from Sonny Allen is how they would.
Wait a minute, he's cutting something out. What he was trying to do, him and I had to do something together. I'm not gonna cut it short, and he gonna cut it short. And Sugar said, you go. He said, but Sugar, she said, do it again. And I was glad. I was glad.
So for me, it is a goal and a dream to have these people who I've learned from, for everybody to be visible for everybody to share a small bit of what I experienced back in the day, for everyone to have a small bit of that. And I hope, but they're a little bit kinder these days, but I'm so happy and grateful. So in closing, 2 things. How many things? 2. First thing, Sunday, Monday, happy days, no, Sunday, we're resuming part 2. Part 2 is what we're gonna do. Don't go to the zoo. We got part 2 is on Sunday, and that will happen approximately, Arsenal?
6 o'clock.
Sunday at 6 o'clock. Don't miss it. Whatever you have, cancel it. Okay, you're not allowed to go early. We're going to really dive deep into some really important topics that you could not read any place, so it's now or never. And so don't forget that. Also, if you've not booked on for the whole camp, I believe you can speak to one of the organizers and purchase a ticket for Sunday. You will not want to miss it. You will not want to miss it. Okay. And for that, people, in closing, I want you to join me, giving a huge, massive round of applause for our special guests, Barbara Billups and Perdok.